Hello there.
Hello. Here's where the fun begins.
Now that we've seen Anakin grow up and turn to the dark side, we're going to see what happens to his kids. Here's episode 4, A New Hope.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
So remember that space station the Emperor was building? Well, it's 19 years later and it's finally done. But the Rebel Alliance stole some plans for it, so they can destroy it.
Well, that's mean.
No, it's a good thing they want to blow it up. I mean, it's called the Death Star. Maybe if they called it something like Super Happy Fun Adventure Time Moon, they would have ignored it completely. But the plans got sent to Princess Leia on her ship.
How is she a princess? She was adopted by a senator.
Well, her mom was a queen.
Not of that planet.
Shut up. It sounds cooler.
Cool name for a cool cat.
So an Empire Star Destroyer is after the Rebel ship that received the plans, and they decide to board it and physically take the plans instead of just blowing up the ship, because then the story would be over if they did that. Leia gets the plans and gives them to R2-D2, along with a message. Darth Vader boards the ship.
I'm sorry, I was held up. I have no excuse.
And questions some guy where the plans are.
Do you know where they are now? What happened to them? I'd like to know.
We intercepted no transmissions.
Who hired you? Tell us.
Tell us now!
Well, he doesn't like that he's lying, so he kills him before he can answer all his questions.
I agree, bad idea.
And then he tells the stormtroopers he wants all the passengers alive.
If you'll excuse me.
R2 and C-3PO get into an escape pod, but no one shoots it down because they think the escape pod malfunctioned during the attack. Plus, there's no life forms on board, so they don't want to waste the bullets, which are lasers. The stormtroopers capture Leia and take her to Darth Vader.
Can't he tell it's his daughter?
Nope. And since she's a senator, he's been around her a few times at least, and not once did the Emperor or Vader see her growing up and be like, "Oh, when was your daughter born?" About the same time Padme died. But she's not scared of him at all.
The Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear you've attacked a diplomat...
Excuse me. I'm in charge of security here, milady. I will quickly discover the truth of all this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you do, you just don't want to tell me.
I'm a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan.
Alright, I get the picture.
But they can't find the plans on the ship and realize they must be on the escape pod. So they need to send somebody down to Tatooine to retrieve them.
Of course not me. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Yes, sir.
R2 and 3PO separate, despite R2 being like, "Hey Dick, I've been here before and I know where I'm going."
I've just about had enough of you.
But they both end up getting kidnapped by Jawas, a group of hoarders on Tatooine.
What an incredible smell you've discovered!
The Jawas are going to sell them to Luke and his Uncle Owen, who doesn't even recognize either one of them, even after living with 3PO for years.
But sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
Luke has to give him a sponge bath and ends up finding Leia's message to Obi-Wan.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Somebody has to save our skins.
Luke sees his sister and thinks she's hot and wants to help her.
Ew!
R2 tricks Luke into removing the restraining bolt by saying it will play more of the video, which this hormonal teenage boy is very interested in. But like any time a boy thinks he has some alone time, someone calls for him, and he storms off, giving 3PO orders to get the video working by the time he gets back. He tells his aunt and uncle that he thinks R2 belonged to a guy named Ben Kenobi, because Obi-Wan didn't change his or Luke's last name when they went to Tatooine. But Luke Lars would sound pretty stupid.
Does your mother not like you or something?
They tell Luke that guy's a weirdo and to stay away. Owen also tells them that he needs to hold off on signing up to be an army pilot for another year, so he can farm water. Aunt Beru says that he's like his dad, and she means...
It's not fair. It just isn't fair.
But Owen thinks she means...
I killed them all. And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too.
Luke returns to find out that R2 is taken off to find Obi-Wan, and it's a good thing that he can't fly anymore, because they're able to follow his tracks in the morning.
You know, that little droid is going to cause me a lot of trouble. Oh, he excels at that, sir.
As they find R2, some sand people attack.
You must have Jedi reflexes.
Does he kill them all like his daddy did?
No, he gets knocked out and they rifle through his crap. But then Obi-Wan shows up and makes a flamingo mating call that scares them away. Luke is clearly moving when he touches his forehead, so we have to assume he's using the Force to heal him? Luke wakes up and tells him about the message to Obi-Wan, who admits who he is.
It's me.
but doesn't recognize R2, who was his best friend's droid and saved his life on multiple occasions. They gather C-3PO, who's moping like a teenage emo chick,
I don't think I can make it. I'm done for.
and go back to Obi-Wan's place. Obi-Wan tells him that he was a Jedi Knight with his dad.
He must think that that's the coolest thing ever.
Nope. He has no reaction, but remember that Tatooine wasn't part of the Republic, so they don't have much reason to talk about Jedi, and Owen and Beru sure aren't going to bring them up.
So why does Luke want to join the rebellion if they're not part of the Republic?
Because I'm one of the idiots who lives in it!
Well, they weren't part of the Republic, but they're definitely part of the Empire, because Anakin came back to fix some stuff.
I came back here and freed all the slaves.
But the real question is, how does the Rebellion have an academy that some farmer can just submit an application to, but the Empire can't find their base? Haven't they heard of spies?
They asked you to spy on me, didn't they?
So Obi-Wan gives Luke Anakin's lightsaber?
Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
But I don't remember Anakin saying, make sure my son gets this, while he was on fire. He also tells him that Anakin was killed by Darth Vader.
Liar!
Because he can't tell him, your dad turned evil and murdered a bunch of children. And Obi-Wan tells Luke that he needs to learn the ways of the Force if he's going to come with him, but fails to mention it's to help his sister. But he could be trying not to say that his dad might have just murdered his twin sister. Luke wants to go, but Owen would be mad at him.
He feared you might follow old Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic crusade like your father did.
So he just offers him a ride like he's some random hitchhiker. On the Death Star, we find out that the Senate didn't like that they supposedly killed Leia, so the Emperor fired them all.
I am the Senate.
This group talks about how cool the Death Star is and how everyone should be afraid of it. Then they give Vader crap about not finding the plans or the Rebel base yet.
He's overly critical. He never listens. He doesn't understand.
This one guy makes fun of the Force, and that's when he gets mad.
You underestimate my power!
Vader, release him.
He's holding me back!
On the way to Anchor Point, they run into a Jawa convoy that were all killed. Luke puts 2 and 2 together.
Oh,
and figures out that they know who bought the droids and are going after his family. He then stupidly leaves the Jedi Knight and Army General out in the middle of nowhere to try to save his aunt and uncle from Imperial stormtroopers.
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
And when he arrives seeing that the house is on fire, he doesn't grab his gun to defend himself. Turns out, he's too late anyway, and stormtroopers have barbecued his aunt and uncle.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Luke goes back to find R2 and 3PO burning Jawas, and he tells Obi-Wan he'll go with him, now that there's nothing holding him back.
I told you I'd make it someday.
They then head to Mos Eisley to find a ship to take them to Alderaan. Stormtroopers are looking for the droids, but Obi-Wan uses the Jedi mind trick on them.
Commander, contact your troops. Tell them to move to the higher levels.
Very good, sir.
And they let him go. They head to a bar where there are races towards droids, and random people try to pick fights. Luke's in trouble, so Obi-Wan pulls out his lightsaber and chops off the guy's arm. So now Luke thinks he's the coolest guy ever.
Where the hell did you get him? Psychos or us?
They meet up with this pilot, Han Solo, who's got some money issues, and his first mate, Chewbacca. This guy Greedo has come to collect on a bounty, and he tells Han McClunky, which is Rodian for, I'm gonna shoot you in the face now, but they both shoot, and Han kills him. They head to the Millennium Falcon.
What a piece of junk!
But this plague doctor rats him out, and now the Imperial forces are after them.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Even though they're being chased, Luke still finds a way to annoy Han.
Boy, am I gonna get it.
Back on the Death Star, Leia is brought to Grand Moff Tarkin.
I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
Since she hasn't cooperated, even when they drugged her, he threatens to blow up Alderaan if she doesn't tell him where the Rebel base is. She tells him where it is, and he tells her it's too far away and no one would see it. So he's still gonna blow up her home planet.
Don't be afraid.
And so they blow up a whole planet just to show they can.
We went into aggressive negotiations.
Luke is learning to use his lightsaber by getting shot at. Obi-Wan wants him to use the Force to not get shot, so he hands him a helmet that has a screen you can pull down if you know a bomb's gonna go off. Obi-Wan keeps telling him he's doing well, but right now he's got about as much skill as a Jedi preschooler. They get to where Alderaan should be, but get caught in a tractor beam that's pulling them into the Death Star. Darth Vader comes to the ship and says that he can feel a presence.
Obi-Wan's been here, hasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Not again. Obi-Wan's gonna kill me.
The crew hid in some smuggling containers and take out some guards so they can take their uniforms. They need to turn off the tractor beam to escape, so Obi-Wan heads off to do that. While they're bored, R2 snoops through the computer to find out that Leia's on board and is about to be executed. Luke wants to save her, but Han doesn't want to go, so he tells him that she's rich.
She's rich.
But leaves out the part where all her money was on a planet that just blew up. So the plan is to handcuff Chewbacca and pretend he's a prisoner. They go to the detention center where they kill all the guards and shoot out the cameras.
I don't think she liked me watching her.
Luke goes to get the princess, who notices that he's short.
Why does that matter?
Well, all the stormtroopers are clones, so they should all be the same height. And somehow she's the only one on this military base to see it. Darth Vader senses Obi-Wan's presence and wants to kill him for cutting his limbs off and setting him on fire.
You're gonna pay.
All of the stormtroopers know that they're breaking Leia out, so they're forced to jump into the garbage chute to escape. An octopus that lives in the trash grabs Luke, but Han can't find him in knee-deep water. He barely moves a couple things out of his way, and kinda gives up until he pops back up. Apparently, this thing has a place to hide when the compactor turns on. They try to get 3PO on the radio, but he turned it off when the stormtroopers came. So this dumpster is just full of construction crap. Metal, plastic, pipes, stuff that has no give. But somehow they managed to stay in the middle of it and not get crushed. I guess only the walls can do that. R2 comes through though, and shuts it off before they die. Obi-Wan gets to the tractor beam controls and shuts it down. They head back to the ship, but stormtroopers are waiting. Han decides to chase them down the hall, but ends up being a trap. They chase him and Chewie, but close the blast doors after they go through. Obi-Wan turns a corner to see Vader waiting on him.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met.
And he's like, I'm the master now. But he seems to have forgotten something.
My new apprentice. Only a master of evil, Darth.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil!
So do you remember that epic fight that they had on Mustafar? This is nothing like that. They're kind of just banging their swords together. Honestly, I've seen more badass fights with two kids and some Christmas wrapping paper tubes.
I am a slow learner.
Well, they're like, damn, we got old, didn't we?
I'm too old for this shit.
And Obi-Wan's like, killing me will only make me stronger.
You are asking me to be ration. That is something I know I cannot do.
So the rest show up to the Falcon, but there are stormtroopers guarding it. But then they see Vader and Obi-Wan in this epic clash of the Titans, and they go to watch. So now they're able to get on the ship, all sneaky like, but then Obi-Wan lets Vader kill him, and Luke yells, giving away their position. The stormtroopers open fire on them, while Vader tries to squash Obi-Wan.
What happened to him?
Apparently he's just a ghost now, and tells Luke to run since he was just standing in the open getting shot at. They take off, and Leia, who just lost everyone she ever knew, consoles Luke, who just watched the creepy local hermit, who he only talked to for a few hours, die.
We have no time for sorrows.
But Han comes in and tells them that they're being followed, so now it's time to shoot some TIE fighters that don't seem to return much fire.
If we keep this chase going any longer, that creep is gonna end up deep fried. And personally, I'd very much like to find out who he is and who he's working for.
You're sure the homing beacon is secure aboard their ship?
I think.
Leia thinks that they're being tracked, so she tells Han to go to the secret rebel base anyway, because she has the plans for the Death Star and thinks it might show a weakness that they can exploit. Han demands to get paid for saving her, and she storms off. Luke comes in and asks Han if he likes her. He says no, so Luke's like, mind if I go for it then?
Ew, that's his sister. Why didn't Obi-Wan tell him?
Well, before he left to go turn off the tractor beam, there was a chance she might already be dead, so why make him sad?
He could tell him as a ghost.
Shut up. He didn't talk to enough people on Tatooine to realize it was the Galactic Alabama. But it's okay because Han's like, oh, well, if you like her, then I like her.
She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
So they get to the moon that their base is on, the Death Star shows up on the other side of the planet, and they jump into its orbit instead of just blowing up Yavin and letting either the blast or the sudden gravity shift take out the rebels on the moon. But this gives the rebels enough time to find a weakness in its exhaust port. All the pilots are like, that's impossible. But Luke's like, that's just like when I used to murder small animals back home.
They killed a little frog that ain't done nothing.
The meeting lets out, and Luke finds Han packing his crap to get out of there. He wants to pay off Jabba the Hutt, the gangster that runs the pod races, and Luke calls him a selfish ass, and Han's like, I want to live, dude. Luke tells Leia that Han is leaving, and she's like, But Luke thought they were best friends, and then he starts missing Obi-Wan again.
I only wish Ben were here.
So she kisses him to shut him up. And then he's like, do you know how hard it is to fly with a boner?
You do know why they call it a cockpit, don't you?
He bumps into his buddy from back home, but this other guy's like, are you sure you're a good enough pilot to go on this suicide mission?
Oh, don't worry, he'll be alright.
They want to give him another droid, but he's got a weird attachment disorder and claims that R2 is his new best friend. He probably also thinks that he's dating Leia now.
Ew.
But they get in their X-Wings and head to the Death Star.
The approach will not be easy.
They have to go down this narrow trench, but first they have to get past these turbo lasers. Some of them do, so they send out some TIE fighters to go head to head. A lot of them are getting shot down, including this guy, who the last thing he hears is his friends calling him fat.
Porkins. So uncivilized.
The TIE fighters are just blowing up left and right, so Vader goes himself.
I'm gonna go help them out. Are you coming?
The gold team gets in the trench, but Darth Vader is hot on their tail.
This is where the fun begins.
He takes some guy out, and another is like, let's get out of here. But the gold leader is like, I don't care if you want to live, you're on a suicide mission.
Move to the right so I can get a clear shot at them.
And then Vader kills them. Now it's Red Team's turn. Red leader goes down, and his wingmen get taken out.
Yeah, you got him!
He gets a shot off, but misses, and then dies. Now it's Luke's turn, but his stabilizer's out. R2's trying to fix it, but Obi-Wan's like, dude, use the Force. To hell with the targeting system. So he turns his computer off, and everyone at the base is like, dude, we're all about to die, and you're the last one left. What the hell? On top of that, Vader is right behind them and is close enough to shoot R2.
That butthole.
So the Death Star is in firing range of the moon, and Vader is about to shoot Luke.
This is the end for you.
But Han shows up and hits a 7-10 split with Vader's wingman, and sends him flying off somewhere.
Well, under the circumstances, I'd say the ability to pilot this thing is irrelevant.
Luke takes a shot, and I guess space torpedoes can turn because the port he's aiming for is on the ground. And of course he makes it, and blows up the Death Star right before it fires on the Rebel base. So Leia wants to reward Luke, Han, and Chewie for their bravery, so she gives Luke and Han medals.
Why doesn't Chewie get one?
Oh, he's too tall. But hey, R2's okay.
That R2 unit is in prime condition.
Subscribe, my little friend.
Don't be afraid. You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
And may the Force be with you.
The Force will be with you, always.